Let's go, mate.
Evening, Mr. Sartori. Take two.
Take
The hungover
two.
boy in the back, although you're not hungover, I am. But
Yeah, take two. You're still hungover, but yeah, we go again. Yeah. How are you doing? Yeah, I feel like it's a bit dead to repeat it, but how
I
are you
know.
doing?
Well,
How are you
I'm all
doing?
right. Yeah, hungover, but for those listening, yeah, we've had to redo this one, so we're going through the motions again. All good. Powered through. Still alive. Hopefully ready to enjoy the weekend, mate. How about yourself?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Look, excited for another game this weekend. Big
Yep.
fixture, despite. I always feel like we're going to be all right against Lazio, especially at home. But it's just the fact, rolling off that derby win. It'll be a crucial 3 points where I think Roma and Napoli are playing. If my memory serves me right. So yeah, it'll be a good chance to perhaps leapfrog and go top of the table potentially if we get a win and maybe Napoli take some points off Roma. But yeah, excited, mate, excited. But you never know, innit? You never know. We've never really. I don't think we've got a good track record of bouncing off one of these big wins following up with a sort of predicted win. And I'm not saying Lazio no scrubs, but we got to be winning this game, mate, in my opinion. But
100%, yeah, and we'll touch on it. We'll touch on it in a bit more detail later on this vid, because really, what we want to talk about, and it's topical, it's relevant, it's been in the press, it's all our minds. Our magic goalkeeper, Magic Mike, is running his contract down, and we know how we've got to this situation, and we'll go into it in more detail. But that's what we're going to discuss mainly. Just talk about that, who the replacements could be. And whether or not we think he could actually end up staying, because I think that's genuinely a possibility. Who knows?
Hopefully.
Yeah. How do you think about Mike generally? I mean, yeah, we know he's been here 5 years. Yeah. Joined when we won the league his first season, like you said, in our first take, could potentially leave us, win the league if we do really well this year. But yeah, how do you think about him? He's obviously been incredible recently, right?
Yeah, Look, it would be very romantic if he was to. Look, I don't want him to go, but if he was to go on a Scudetto winning year, which could happen this year, I think there's something quite fitting in there. It could be his first and his last year with us and winning 2 major bits of silverware. But I don't want him to go. Obviously, he's a player of a certain caliber that we got on a steal. 16 million euros when Gigio left, and I think when we signed him, I just was very confident with what I saw. And I was
won the league with Lille as well. He won the league.
Exactly, and he was solid. The fundamentals of the game were there. So it's shot saving, distribution, confidence to either feet of the ball. Whereas I've always been when Gigio left, it was with goalkeepers. I've always had this opinion that, as you said, I don't think they help you win the leagues, but they do in an aspect. Like when other areas of the team are quite poor, the goalkeeper is really important, and perhaps it's the finishing touch, just the cherry on top that can help you win the best of the best trophies in world football, and perhaps contend with one of the best sides in world football as well. Now, are we anywhere close to that, as in from a competing element? No. We could obviously maybe go on and maybe win something domestically this year, but I think there is a caveat with the fact that we're only playing in Italy this season, and we're using that to our advantage. And do I think in the next couple of seasons will we crack on and do really well in Europe? I don't think we will. Personally, I'm being a bit pessimistic about it. So then I go back and I go what keep in mind, is that going to be the difference between that objective or what we've seen in the past? Probably not. But the reality is he is in incredible form this season, and he's been crucial to some of these victories and massive performances that we pulled out the bag. Roma and Napoli, obviously. Sorry, Roma and or I guess inclusive of Napoli and the Inter game. And losing him would be an area we'd have to replace, which is has to go then to the recruitment element in the summer. Could easily go wrong. Where do we get this keeper from? I can't really think of anyone directly that when we come on to some potential replacements, but I can't think of anyone that's going to come and slot right in at the same way he did for Donnarumma.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's a situation you'd rather avoid happening 1000% of having to replace someone, certainly on a free. I mean, let alone the fact that we lost Teo for a nominal fee last summer, and we're still struggling kind of in that department as well. I mean, thank God Batazagi's been in good form, but it goes to show you that it's not as easy just to kind of replace such a pillar to the side, and what that could mean for the side in that department. So yeah, how do you think he's been? Because obviously he's been in good form, probably his joint second best season, if not maybe it's approaching, it's probably is equally as matching that first season from a form perspective this year.
No, I think Mike's symbolic for many reasons. Beyond, I would argue, Leao and Pulisic, and I'm forgetting a few players, I'm forgetting them on purpose. They are, Mike being the third player, they are the three players that have become world class at Milan, i.e., they weren't quite amazing or one of the best players in their position when they first came. I think Mike was known, but I don't think had other clubs kind of latched on, we wouldn't have got him, right? I think they rated him but didn't super rate him, and then he got better. You've got Modric, who's obviously world class, and Rabiot could argue. But in terms of players that have actually grown with it, he has been one of our pillars, as you said, right? So there's a symbolic element to Mike that I think is really upsetting from a perspective of him leaving. But just focusing firstly on what you said about what I think of his performances. Look, this year he's been incredible. I think Mike's really interesting because he's ebbed and flowed more than a lot of players that we've had in a way that I guess Leao has as well. But it's really weird to describe. Like, for a player in a position where you need consistency, I think a goalkeeper is one of the most consistent. You want just someone who is like a 6 or 7 out of 10, or maybe an 8 ideally, but let's say 7 out of 10 every week. That's what you want from your goalkeeper, really. You don't really need much else. No goalkeeper's going to be 10 out of 10 every week, and you don't want a goalkeeper's 4 or 5 because then they're making mistakes and conceding goals. You just want solid. Mike, I would argue, hasn't actually done that, weirdly enough. He's either had an incredible season where he's probably maybe overperformed, maybe not, I don't know. It's difficult to really understand his level truly, other than he is incredibly good. But then he has a lot of mistakes. He has a lot of mistakes. We cannot deny this. And I think that, combined with the fact that he was injury prone for a couple of years, that really, I mean, and we'll touch on it in a minute, that's why the situation's come to where it was, because it's not like Messi. It's not like Chanaloglu, if you want to say. There was an agreed deal on the table. This is a renewal that should have happened, right? So, what do I think about him as a player? I think as a pure goalkeeper, I think there probably are better goalkeepers. But is he one of the best in Europe even still? Yeah, I think goalkeepers, we're not in the era of the Casillas and Buffons where, there's, or Victor Valdez or Julio Cesar even, or Dida back in, every team had a quality goalkeeper. I don't think there's actually that many. So he gets there anyway. But it's a tough one, Steph, because I think he brings a lot of other things that I really respect about him. I think it's his leadership and mentality and professionalism that we lack as a team. That's something that's really intangible that Mike has that a lot of other players don't seem to have. He has an abundance. Now, a few of the ones we brought in, Rabiot, Modric, do whatever. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. I don't want to lose him, like you said. Ultimately, we shouldn't be losing him. He's still at a great age. What is he, 30? He should have at least another 4 years at top level. For a goalkeeper. He's France number 1. I don't think that's going to change for a good few years either. So, yeah, it's a real shame that we got to this position. That's me. But is he replaceable, like you said? Probably.
Yeah. Look, the reality is, in the goalkeeping position, we can get this so wrong. We could easily get this, as it wasn't you and me with this take. The club could get the replacement so wrong. There's rumors about like Suzuki from Parma, and I think is it Caprile, the one from Cagliari?
Caprile, Carnesecchi. I don't know if he's been linked, but
Carnesecchi I would take, but like the rest of the players, it's too much of a gamble there. But I think with a goalkeeper, like you said, the fundamentals are the key thing, and the consistency is the key thing.
Yeah.
What we cannot ignore with this, and I'm not saying it was right or wrong for how the negotiation was handled, is that in between year 1 and where we are now, and probably like last year where he was relatively okay, but you can't say it was the same level as year one, or certainly where he's doing at now.